Hello and welcome to everybody who have logged in today to our brand new episode. You're listening to Money and Me, and I'm your host, Abhiraj Bhattacharya. Today's episode is going to be fun. Our guest for today is a very energetic woman. She is very well versed into DeFi, NFTs, crypto, and she's here to share her insights. And I was just having a small chat before we started recording this, and by the looks of it, I think this is going to be a pretty good session. So, without further ado, please welcome Marie into our show. Hi, Marie.
Hi guys, so my name is Maries Tatibouet and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Gate.io. Thanks so much, Eric, for having me on the show. And, I really enjoy the Money and Me show, and I think your audience seems really great.
Thanks, Marie. Well, let's just dive right into it. So, firstly, Gate.io, you guys are there's not one word to put it. You guys are everywhere. Like you're right there in the heart of the market. You're heavy into altcoins. I believe you support around 800 altcoins altogether. You're also into DeFi. So there are so many offerings that you guys have. Your NFT platform, by the way, Magic Box, just had a look at it. It looks really impressive. So, Mary, if I were to ask you to define Gate.io's vision in a few sentences, how would you describe it?
Gate.io aims to be the one-stop shop kind of platform that provides its users with all the services that they will ever need to delve into the crypto space. And so the idea is to create a complete ecosystem that helps you as the user interact with each and every facet of the crypto space. So we're really focused on providing the users. Previously, we've been really focused on retail users, and we are still, although now we also, are catering to professionals and all of that. But definitely the way that we started out and the way that we see things is from the retail trader's perspective. And so we really want to provide the best experience for you guys, whereas a lot of other companies in the space, they're not just there to serve the user, they also, want to create their own products and stuff like that to serve like the entire system, whereas we're interested in bringing the entire system to the retail trader.
Right. Now you've been with Gate for over 3 years. That's a pretty long, time span. So you've clearly seen Gate through its ups and downs, as corresponding to the market itself. You were there when the market was bullish. You were definitely there when the market went bearish. So
Mm.
what can you tell us about the company philosophy, and especially ever since your arrival? If you could share some experiences, let us know about what it feels like to work with Gate. I'm sure our listeners would love it.
Sure. So first things first, Gate has been around since 2013. So that makes us one of the oldest exchanges that has survived all of this time in the industry. And I was brought on 3 years ago, specifically because the company wanted to expand outside of Asia. So like I said, we started out, we always have been really concerned and focused on providing the user with a great experience. And so when Gate first started out, they're very focused on their local market, China, and really focused on getting everything right for China. And when I joined, and I was living in China at the time, we're very focused on expanding outside of China, outside of Asia. And so we moved past Asian users, and we expanded to global users. So like I said, always focused around providing the users with the best experience possible. And those are kind of like the main things, very focused on the user, very focused on security. Security comes before everything else. And then in general, just really being transparent and being having integrity. And I think that is one of the reasons we've been able to sustain ourselves through hardships, because we have always shown the user that we have their back, whether it was through a hack, whether it was, with all of the features that we developed that are very transparent, whether it's with the $0 listing fee that we have, so that we can be completely objective about the projects that we list. All of that really revolves around the user. So that's the main reason they brought me on. And since then, we have built up a significant international team with people all around the world. We're a remote team. And we have seen definitely a significant uptick in our European and North American use base.
Right. Can you tell us about some of the differences when it comes to crypto trading in different continents? For example, in Asia, traders have a different mentality when it comes to trading. Same goes for Europe and North America. So if you could sum it up and tell us the chief key differences according to you, which you feel. Since you're the CMO, obviously you have to market your crypto products according to the region as well. So yeah.
I think it's not necessarily so much about the region as much as it's about, I mean, every country has their own specifications. For example, in Korea or China, users do not have access to a very wide range of financial instruments in their home country. So a lot of them, and this is why they got involved with crypto very early on, a lot of them were really interested in crypto as like a kind of, a new financial instrument that they can use. Whereas in the US and in Europe, for example, often people do have access to lots of different financial instruments. So it's never been about that. It's much more been about, people being truly interested in crypto. And then, of course, when there's been a lot of volatility, you definitely see a lot of interest from those kind of users. And similarly, from some of the maybe lower income markets, you see that they're very interested in hodling, so they're going to join a lot of our liquidity mining programs or hodl and earn programs where they can just hold their coins and earn interest from them. And so that'll be a big thing. Whereas, for example, margin trading in some of the Western countries is much more popular. And then, of course, then you have some of the countries where they are not so financially equipped, they're very unbanked and stuff like that. And in that case, they're actually using our exchange kind of like they would be using a bank,
Right.
So it's, I think I would rather kind of delimit it in that kind of way. You also have like a huge market for us has been Turkey. And, it's really sad what's happened in Turkey over the last year, and particularly in March, when I think it was March 18th, when the lira lost 15% of its value in like just one day. And I think that was a huge wake-up call for them. And since then, we've seen a lot of Turkish users join, and it's become one of our biggest markets. We recently donated 30,000 USDT for the fires that have been happening in Turkey because we interact with them on a very regular basis. A lot of them have joined and become our followers, and they're very passionate. I will definitely say that about the Turkish.
You brought a very valid point, Marie. In fact, not just Turkey, but countries like Nigeria, Argentina, Paraguay, we see how people there are they're really done with the traditional financial model. They see their currency values dipping every day. So many of them are now switching over to crypto because crypto volatility is nothing compared to what their own currency goes through. So this is often a point many people bring out, how crypto, Bitcoin could be used as case studies in these countries because it works, it definitely does. I want to deviate our conversation slightly away from this and move towards NFTs because I know how excited you also were to talk about it. Just throwing some quick stats. In Feb 2021, $70 million worth of NFTs were sold every week. That's a huge amount. And the average price of all of those NFTs was around $3,000. Now, Feb 2021 in crypto terms is really long back. And of course, since then, the prices have dipped. But I still feel it's becoming more exciting because back then NFTs were a novelty, but now they're becoming the mainstream. And yes, and this is what brings us to your NFT platform, MagicBox. Can you tell us what is so magical about MagicBox and why is it different from its competitors?
For sure. For a quick background, I invested in my first NFT in February or March. I bought the Kings of Leon album cover, which was really cool.
Nice.
I really love
Yeah,
Kings of Leon.
I love them as
And,
well.
and I thought it was really cool because they were like the first big band to use NFTs. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, I'm buying a part of history. But the fees on that purchase were so high, and ETH wasn't even at its all-time high yet. They're really very high. The thing about Magic Box, which I think is so great, is that we empower our users to mint their NFTs for free. And so this approach ensures that we support artists as much as possible so that they can focus on their creative work and they don't have to worry about anything else. And I think that's really important because often a lot of artists, before they make it big, they're really struggling. And so if you charge them to mint the NFTs, you're not going to be able to have them explore the different platforms in the way that they would like to. Now, I mean, I think it's debatable, right? Because you don't want them minting just any random thing, but I'm sure there will be solutions to follow up with that, you know?
Right.
But I think it's important. You don't want to limit innovation and creativity. And so I think that's really what Magic Box brings to the table.
So here's a question to you. So now that you said Magic Box is basically a platform for all kinds of artists to come through. So there is no entry barrier anymore. Anybody who wants to mint their NFTs can do so in your platform. Do you see NFTs becoming what artists have always dreamed of? Because we know how difficult the concept of ownership is, digital ownership exactly. Because let's say I'm a musician and I release a single online, definitely will be taken and people will legally download it. But NFT ensures that there's some sort of branding, there's some sort of ownership still left. So do you see more and more artists gradually switching over to NFT platforms?
Absolutely. I think it's very clear that the virtual space is really important, and you can see it with I mean, you can see it with any gamer, and I'm not a gamer per se, but I have seen, you know, it's been a while since in lots of different games you would buy such and such sword or whatever to kind of show off. I will say this, I was a gamer. I played this like horse breeding game when I was like a young. And you know, I think it's the same. Oh, you want like the best breed, right? Because it's cool, and then you can sell it for more, kind of like the original crypto kitties in a way, right?
Right.
And yeah, I remember being completely obsessed with it. And so, you know, anyone who says the virtual space is not really worth anything, I really beg to differ. And even more recently, you would see, you know, all of these emojis where, you know, maybe you have your face on it and you send it. You know, there was some co-branding with Forever 21 or Nike or whatever, so you could have a Nike cap on. And I really see things moving along there. And I think we'll probably see a lot of artists also, you know, do a lot of brand, maybe a lot of brand association partnerships. And I think brand will be really important. And so I foresee that a lot of the original stuff might be with influencer marketing, brand partnerships, and eventually I think a lot of the artists will catch on. I will say this, when I was in Miami for the Miami Bitcoin conference, I did
Yeah.
go to like an NFT party, and you know, they're a lot of people, there are a lot of people from LA, and they're
Mhm.
really interested in launching things because now they can see that they're going to be able to figure out a way to raise funds in a way that goes outside of producers. And you know, it's very centralized in Hollywood actually, and
Right.
with NFTs you're going to be able to diversify that. So I think it's going to be very exciting.
So basically, it's getting rid of the middleman and it's directly connecting the artist to the audience as it should have been.
Hmm. Exactly.
Right. Marie, tell us something about your own self. So your journey into crypto, and you are CMO right now, but then you've told me that you have not only worked in marketing but also finance. So what
Mhm.
is that like? How do you market crypto products in this day and age?
Well, it's funny, I really ended up doing a 360 because I started out, I studied finance, and then I ended up doing marketing for tech companies when I was in China. And then I was doing marketing for crypto. And, as it turns out, all of my financial knowledge has ended up being really useful. So I've kind of like gone the full circle. And, mostly what really interested me was cryptocurrencies is really the intersection of finance and technology. And yeah, I think as you can imagine, cryptocurrencies stand of at the intersection of these fields. So I've really had an advantage in this regard. But it isn't easy to market crypto products because, first of all, they're nothing like anything we've seen before. And you really have to be a financier and a technologist kind of at the same time. And in my case, it's some CMO, also understand marketing to really understand and be able to market these products. And that's a huge ask. And so I'm constantly learning on an everyday basis. With our team, we have like a weekly call where we talk about all of the news. And it's actually a very important time in our week because we can't know everything. And one of the things I definitely do say to all of the newbies who come into the space is the speed at which the cryptocurrency industry is progressing is really insane. It's
Incredible.
really, really quick, even much quicker than when I first got into the market back in 2018. And it's okay if you don't keep up with everything. I think you could probably spend your entire day reading everything and you would still not be caught up with everything. So that's okay. Make sure you read about Bitcoin. And then when you understand Bitcoin, then read about ETH, and then see if you're more interested in DeFi or NFTs, or you choose a certain intersection. Then you just chill there and progress. You'll progress as it comes, but don't feel overwhelmed that you don't understand everything, because the truth is, most of the industry experts don't understand everything either.
I'm really glad you said that because this is something I truly believe as well. So when people come and tell me, hey, Abruk, you work in crypto, so tell us what is it? And I just look at their face for a few seconds and tell them, I don't know where to start. And I may not even be the right person to ask because
Mhm.
it's such a vast industry. It's very, very difficult for one person to know every little nook and corner of it. But I think that's what gives it its strength, because here we are, people from journalism, marketing, finance, people from different backgrounds coming together, working in this fascinating new field. And I think it's just, rewarding the entire journey.
What I definitely say to all of the newbies is, before you see Bitcoin as an investment, see it as a technology.
True.
Because if you see it as a technology and you understand why the technology is revolutionary, and I'm not saying something can't come along to overtake Bitcoin, it can, it's possible. But I think if you understand it as a technology, you will be able to tell, first of all, if there is something else that comes along that will beat it. And mostly, if not, right, then you will have diamond hands when Bitcoin falls 50%. And it'll still be hard. It's still hard. It was still hard for me last March and last May. It was still hard for me. It's brutal to see, like, oh, my portfolio has gone down 40%. I want to die. But but because I know about the Bitcoin as the technology, I understand why it's valuable. I see it, I end up seeing it more as an opportunity. Whereas if you just see it as an investment, you will freak out and then sell. And then 5 months later, when it's gone back up, you'll feel really silly.
Definitely. Speaking of technology, many say that the future of blockchain lies in DeFi, because aside from just crypto or NFTs, DeFi actually has a potential to maybe even overthrow the current centralized financial model around the world. So what I want to know from you is, do you think DeFi needs to replace centralized finance in order to succeed, or do you think it's absolutely possible that, they coexist and they grow together?
So DeFi is a revolutionary, and right now it's at $50 billion, which is nothing compared to what it's going to be. But there are definitely barriers to entry for newbies, and these barriers to entry are really high. And the main reasons that are behind these barriers are, one, there's a lot of complications that are possible, and for now, the gas fees are really out of control. Now that's kind of changing with, the second layer solutions with Matic, for example, and other protocols. And obviously, hopefully, let's see how things go tomorrow with the update. But I am hoping that that'll kind of adjust some of the gas fees. But yeah, the high complications, the response to that is that actually centralized infrastructures are very simple to use. They're definitely more complicated than a regular bank, I think, in general. But compared to DeFi, it's really very easy. And, you have to consider like this stat. There are 75 million unique blockchain addresses, but there are only 3.1 million unique DeFi addresses. So that means that only 2.53% of the crypto ecosystem is involved in DeFi. And I really expect that'll go up a lot. And I really think that the reason behind this discrepancy is that crypto exchanges just take out of all of those complications away. And actually, also a lot of the, we doubled cryptocurrency users in the last 6 months. They're brand new, right? They're not ready for all of these complications yet. And that's why we're really focused for the rest of the year. We're really focused on education. And that's going to be really, really important. So, and beyond that, we've also seen that there's been a significant rise in the median transaction fee. Since the beginning of 2021, the median transaction fee was about anywhere from $5 to $12, and did reach, a high of almost $20. But centralized exchanges are actually much cheaper. If you use GT as a token on gate.io, your fee is going to be like, if you're a maker, 0.2%, if you're a taker, 0.15%. So as things stand right now, centralized exchanges are a lot more accessible and affordable than DeFi. And I don't think that's changing in the immediate future. Also, a lot of DeFi and CeFi platforms actually are doing a lot of partnerships and collaborating a lot. And so I think we will eventually, we will grow into a partnership, and then maybe we will kind of push forward into DeFi. We have to kind of see how it evolves, because, obviously the problem with DeFi is that there is no legal recourse for now. There is insurance for DeFi products that is growing, and indeed that might yield some good results. But I think for a lot of people, they want to know that their funds are safe and that they're going to be able to have legal recourse if the funds go missing. And for that, with DeFi for now, that's really not possible.
Right. But this leads us to the next question. So you guys have a DeFi platform yourself, Hippo DeFi. So I want to understand, so since you've said all of this, it clearly means that you guys know you are coming with a background of what's missing in DeFi. Maybe you want to fix some of the issues, maybe the gas fees, the scalability. You want to fix some of those issues. Maybe you want to make it more mainstream. So what I want to know from you is, what is the philosophy behind Hippo DeFi, and what are some of the big benefits it provides to users, especially newbies?
Sure. So Ethereum's lack of scalability prevents DeFi platforms and AMMs, automated market makers, from reaching their full potential. So that's why at Gate.io, we launched the Hippo DeFi platform. So Hippo is built on GateChain, and it will eventually support more chains like Ethereum and BSC, etc. But the idea here is to create a platform agnostic automated market maker. Usually most of these automated market makers are only on one are only on one protocol. So that's kind of the idea. And so that way people from the ecosystem can use it with ease in a very interchangeable way. Plus, while only Uniswap pools are available on Hippo, in the future, we'll be integrating pools from SushiSwap and Balancer and lots of other ones so that you can get the best price automatically.
Right.
And so this kind of ensures that you can leverage the various pools and take advantage of the different reward schemes used by these platforms. And, the final thing that's interesting as well, and I think that our users really going to like, is that currently there is price slippage, and that's really a significant issue during token swaps. And Hippo utilizes an algorithm that reduces the slippage costs by a factor of 1 divided by n, where n is the leverage parameter. So that's a little complicated, but it works similar to how 1inch is working.
So Marie, here's the next question. So crypto is big, no doubt, and throughout this interview, both of us have brought up this point that 6 months is nothing when you compare crypto, because crypto can change in a day or two. So maybe this volatility is a feature of it, may not be so bad, but it's because it's such a growing technology, it's attracting so much attention from all over the world that it's bound to change the way it is. What I want to know from you is maybe even next year, let's say that we have another interview next year, and I ask all these questions to you once more. Do you think your answers are going to change significantly, or do you think your answers are going to remain more or less the same? That crypto is still developing, DeFi is still developing, NFT is still not yet reached the mainstream, or do you think it'll be a complete reversal?
That's a really great question, Ebrook. I think it depends. Now we're at the stage where we're really looking into scalability. And so if ETH can scale, and that's a big if ETH can scale, then I think we'll continue to see a lot of development on ETH, and there'll be lots of different things that will happen. But I think the general trend will be in the same direction. But if the current platforms cannot scale, then things will really differ. And I don't really know what will happen. What is for sure is, we did see El Salvador make Bitcoin legal tender. I'm pretty confident that by this time next year, we'll see other governments. There'll be more. I'm very much looking forward to having more certainty in regulation and legislation so that we can all really decide, okay, what is going to be allowed. And I think, according to how the legislation falls, there'll be a lot of innovation to, be able to go and follow this regulation. So I think that's going to be really important. So yeah, it's hard to say, but I am confident that we will still grow a lot. I am confident that Bitcoin will be legal tender in other countries. And I think this is really important because, and we will see in this next year how El Salvador, for example, adopts Bitcoin. And if it does, which I think that it will, and that means that there's a whole market, there's going to be 10 million people perhaps interacting with Bitcoin on a daily basis. And that's huge because Bitcoin has only really been a store of value for a lot of people, not so much about transactions. And so we'll be moving into kind of a new wave. And similarly with ETH, if it's scalable, then we'll also be moving into a new wave where we are going to be able to really use decentralized applications in a way that's real. I think I think a lot of the crypto space is also a little bit of an echo chamber. And if you want a lot of these newbies to come on board, you have to make products. I think a lot of these dApps, they're only really made for people who are in the crypto space. They're not going to be used by regular people who are not so interested in crypto. And it's only with scaling that we'll be able to do that. So yeah, I think that's like a really important point.
So bringing back a point earlier from our discussion, I think this is where games or influencers or celebrities entering this sphere is making a difference. Because I know for a fact that now there are games where players can actually mine crypto, like they can mine tokens. So not only are they getting the entertainment aspect of the game, but they're actually even making money because that thing can be sold. Same goes for NFTs, collectibles. So yeah, I really like that point you brought out, and I definitely feel yes, I think we can really say crypto has made a difference when I think it already has. Like I go out on the streets, when I say Bitcoin, 5 people look at me. This was not the case maybe, I don't know, 4, 5 years back.
Yeah, we were
So
freaks
slow and
before.
yes, we were. Definitely were. Okay, Marie, this brings me to the last question of the interview. I want to know your views towards women working in the blockchain ecosphere, the blockchain projects, because women empowerment is a very important factor. It gets played on in a lot of industries. A lot of women come up and they tell how women are underrepresented in the industry. So, do you think it's the same for blockchain and crypto? Do you think the gender ratios need to be changed? Do you think enough women are acknowledged in this ecosphere? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, crypto, like I said, is the intersection of finance and tech. And in both those industries, women are underrepresented. And obviously in in the blockchain industry as well. And this is even more true for women who are brought up in a more traditional setting where men make all of the financial decisions. We definitely need more women in the blockchain industry. And I think I'm really happy to be a Gate.io because Gate.io has taken very positive steps in this regard. Having previously worked at in a variety of different companies, mostly male dominated, I will say, I have never really seen a fairer gender distribution in any workforce in my career. But at Gate.io, women account for over 50% of the workforce. And we're not just hiring these women for the sake of hiring. We have women in leadership positions making business critical and executive decisions. So I don't want to sound arrogant here, but I think a lot more of the blockchain companies kind of emulate the model and the results speak for themselves. And it's not easy. All of our global English community managers, for example, are all men because I have like one woman out of 10 applications, right? So it's not easy. But when I see a woman who's like out there who's ready to go and has lots of energy, I really usually appreciate that. I think one of the things as blockchain technology becomes more not more traditional, but more mainstream, I think we will see more women come into the space. Women are traditionally, I think in most countries, more risk averse. And so, yeah, I think men have been more interested in crypto when it was, more of an early adopter thing. Now that it's becoming more mainstream, and now that cryptocurrency is really set to change the world and set to have a really important place in how society evolves, it's critical to have women in the workforce generally, and then in leadership positions like we do at Gate.
Right. I think very similarly because if you look at crypto as such, it is a borderless technology, right? So, example, me and you, we're in different parts of the world, but we're having a conversation. And any crypto project, you never see the workforce being physically present. Many of the times, there is no physical office. it's digital. And this is one industry where I see where people look forward more to the knowledge of the participant, to the applicant, rather than the usual gender or the usual race or the usual religion. So maybe it might not be the case, but I feel that blockchain can definitely create an impact when it comes to diversity, because this is one industry where we really value people who have the knowledge of the subject, who are eager to share it to the world, because it's like a startup, right? I mean, if you look at a crypto blockchain, it's like a startup. It's new to the world, and because it's new to the world, it can look past the usual differences in society.
Absolutely. I think most people that I meet in the crypto space, there are the odd ones who are just there because for financial gain and stuff like that. But almost everyone that I meet is very open-minded. And so it doesn't matter what religion or gender or whatnot, you're really interested in discussing these open kind of ideas. And I think it's also understood that in the crypto space, the knowledge that you have to be really, truly knowledgeable, this is what I tell people, to be really knowledgeable about the crypto space, you need to understand finance, you need to understand economics, you need to understand technology, you need to understand consumer behavior, you need to understand geopolitics, you need to understand regular politics and regulation and just legislation and that sort of thing. That's like 7 things, and that's just off the top of my head. It's very hard to have a full picture if you don't have at least a superficial understanding of all of those things. And so I think there's also an understanding with anyone that you interact with that, of course, they're not going to know everything, and that's also okay. And you could probably teach each other a lot. I've really always learned so much from all of the people in the crypto industry that I meet.
Definitely. Well, Marie, this was a very nice discussion. I didn't expect it to be this deep, actually. I mean, I feel we really touched base on some really good topics. So thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. And we hope to have you over again.
Thanks so much for having me on the show. And big thanks to the Coin Republic's audience for listening to me.